Hey students, happy Wednesday. I hope you're doing well and loving life these days. And I also hope that you're learning new things. Something new that I learned that I'm pretty excited about is how to share my screen. Woo! Watch this. So you'll be able to see the work that I'm talking about. There it is. Amazing. Okay, to start things off, here's a quick little thing about perimeter and area. You'll see this notice right here that says the perimeter is the distance around the figure. So you add all sides together. Okay, that makes sense. The unit is just what it is measured in, and we label the answer with the unit by itself. Okay, so that might be confusing, so let me explain. Yesterday when we talked about perimeter and area, here, I'm gonna come back for a second. When we talked about perimeter and area yesterday, we just talked about area and how area covers the surface and how each unit in area is measured in squares because it's like there's an invisible tile guy, right? And we've talked about this a little bit in class, but just the area is how much it covers. And so we measure it in squares because it's being covered. Area is square. And so when we have the units, we say square inches, or if these are centimeters, we say centimeters squared or something. That's what area is. Now perimeter is just measuring the distance around the outside. So I'm going to take this square inch right here. Now this is 1 square inch, but on the sides it's 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. So the perimeter around this 1 square inch is 4 square inches. So the perimeter is different than the area, and that's okay because they're different units. So the perimeter around this shape would just be adding up all of the square inches, and the diagonals would also be 1 inch because of how squares work. So that's perimeter. Perimeter is the outside. It's like the distance around. It's if I were to get a string and to put it around this and then unfold it, it'd be how long that string is. So perimeter is the distance around, and area is the space inside that it covers. So for your specific math assignment, then let me show you what it means. Okay, so for instance, this first question is asking you to find the area and the perimeter. So you need to label each one in centimeters or centimeters squared. Now, which one do you label in only centimeters? Yes, it's the perimeter, because the perimeter, we're not measuring squares, we're just measuring the distance around the outside. And each one of these is 1. So to find the perimeter, we just count the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the perimeter is 12 centimeters. So I would write something like that, perimeter equals 12 centimeters. And then the area is how many squares this is. So let's count the squares. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the area is 6 centimeters squared because we counted 6 square centimeters. Does that make sense? So that's what you get to do for these figures. You get to find the perimeter and the area. Next, this one you're just finding the area, and it just says square units. That's okay. Just count the squares. That's fine. That's square units. So we don't need to know if it's millimeters, meters, centimeters, inches. We just know it's units. So we're okay with that. And then finally, you have to find some of the perimeters. Now on these shapes down here, you don't have all of the measurements, but that's okay because we know that rectangles have 2 equal sides and 2 equal sides. So we know that since this one has 6 centimeters, this one has to be 6 centimeters, and we know this has 4 centimeters, so we know the opposite side has to be the same exact. So it's 6, 4, 6, 4. You can do this. So just add all of the sides for the perimeter. So that's math today, perimeter and area. Next, for the Journeys workbook. Okay, this one is a little bit tricky as well. We are using adjectives and adverbs that compare. Now, adjectives that compare, we focus more on the syllables, and then adjectives, we're focused more on the verbs or the actions. Okay, so let me explain a little bit. So this box will help you. So adjectives that compare, this box right here tells you about the adjectives that compare. I'll let you read that by yourself. But for instance, number 1, this backpack is light than that one. So they want us to use the word light to compare this backpack and that backpack. So I'm going to look at my rules up here. And it says, okay, use ER and more to compare 2 nouns. Use EST and most to compare 3 or more nouns. Okay. Add ER or EST to most adjectives that have 1 syllable. Okay. So light has 1 syllable. So I'm going to add ER because it has 1 syllable. This backpack is lighter than that one. Or this backpack is more light than that one. Does that make sense? So you can use the box to help you and say it out loud before you type it to help you see what sounds right. You'll know. Okay, now adverbs that compare. Remember, an adverb is something that describes a verb, whereas adjectives are something that describe the noun. So we're looking at this box right here, and it kind of has the same rules. So, excuse me, use ER or more to compare 2 verbs or actions, or use EST or most, excuse me, to compare 3 or more. Okay, so Will waited patiently than Kyle for the storm to pass. Okay, so patiently, we have to add more or most before adverbs that end in ly. So Will waited more patiently than Kyle for the storm to pass. Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Will waited more patiently, so that is my answer. Will waited more patiently. And then it says to write 2 or 3 or more to explain the form that you wrote. And I'm going to say it was 2 because, yeah, you can skip that part if you want to. It's kind of confusing. Okay, next, you have a box and you get to find the word that makes sense in the sentences. Then you write the complete sentence. So for number 11, it says, Justin spent a night at the camp out because he was worried about bears. So I'm going to look at this box and I'm going to say, Justin spent a valuable night. That doesn't really make sense. Justin spent an erasable night. It's not really, I don't really understand that. Justin spent a crispness night. No. Oh, sleepless. Justin spent a sleepless night at the camp out because he was worried about bears. That makes sense. That's my sentence. I hope that helps. So you get to use the clues, use the box, and figure out what the word should be. Okay, finally, for writing, you get to answer this question. Would you rather spend time in the mountains or go to the beach? Why? So maybe if I say mountains, it would be because, well, the mountains have cooler air, they have a nice mountain breeze, there's a lot of plants and animals that I could see. The mountain could have a pretty lake. Maybe I like hiking, so I prefer the mountains. Or maybe if I said beach, I would say, oh, I would rather go to the beach because the beach has amazing waves. It's fun to play in the water and you can build sand structures. And I also would prefer to go to the beach because the beach has really fun stores and I really like to boogie board, which is where you just have this board and you kind of like ride the waves a little bit. Or maybe I like to go to the beach because my family all goes to the beach together and we sit on the shore and just look at the ocean and play in the sand or whatever it is. So say what you prefer and then say why and give me some reasons. So this should be fun because last week our story was about Hawaii, which has a lot of beaches, and this week our story is about Mount Everest. So anyway, and then don't forget to do the daily check-in. Just let me know how you're doing and all of that. So anyways, I hope this helped. I'm really excited that I learned how to show you what I'm talking about. I hope that helps for you to see it as well. Okay, what else? I think that's everything. Keep learning, keep having fun, keeping your amazing selves, and I'll talk to you later.